Um, 1 second. One thing I forgot to mention. Sorry. Oops. Oops. Um. Oops. Wait. We're gonna actually display this. One thing I forgot to mention. That's important in that video. Is now I can't open bio. Fuck. Is if you actually like, let me just hold up. I only have 4 tables, so it's fine. See if we can raise small here. Fuck. And here, forget it. So you see this like term when you're solving EV of auto position being like, say 30, and EV or MES EV or whatever being like 29.9. It's like kind of like approaching. Hold up, nobody fucking folded. And then you have the same thing with OOP. Now these are not going to be 100. It's going to be like what the pot is. So the pot is say 70. So if this guy's got 30 out of position, for example, we'll have 40, whatever. And it will also approach his maximally exploited strategy. So when people talk about exploiting for max EV, and that's all they talk about, this is weird. Check. Oh, fucker. What? How is he not betting? It's fine. He was up against many players. Whoa. Sorry. So think about it. This is the born out of pot. So if we put the pot as like says 7, then this would be 4 and 3 because this is actually chips. And so when someone wants to exploit, just without any kind of like, mostly winning players are just basically getting conclusions thrown at them that are coming from studying a more game theoretic framework, and they're applying those this is a bad they're applying those hold up, this is also bad. They're applying those conclusions and misattributing them for exploits, and the fact that like exploits only come from like understanding this, for example. So in a pot of 70 chips, given certain inputs of ranges, which we talked about, you can't have like just ranges for ranges sake, because most ranges will cover a ton of combos anyways, so there's not that much expansion. It's just the actions they take later on the street, right? But this is somewhat interesting actually. I think we should be betting like 70% here. Check call just seems gross. Or I don't know, I'll run it maybe. I don't think I need to. It was multi-way, but maybe later for review. Anyways, so for instance here, actually, like, let me just keep this here. So the pot's 90, right? Now I'm not gonna call this because of calling's sake, right? There's not even 90s right now, right? Yeah, no, there might be. I don't know. Let's just see the pot, right? So given these two guys have a range, they definitely do, right? He doesn't always play one hand from the small blind. He doesn't always open one hand from the cutoff. They actually have some, EV given their ranges itself. Doesn't matter what action they take. just before even root out of position say checks. Before the first action, they already have some ranges. Here, let me just whatever. Oh, one sec. So they already have, say, in a part, this guy has more than half without even actually like doing exploiting or whatever. It's just his range versus the other range is giving him this much in a part of 80. 70, sorry. It's already giving him this much. This is just like how close it's approaching to it, actual Nash equilibrium. So what can, and you also know that the data, for example, do I have players with like a lot of hands? No, I probably don't. Even if I did, like this guy I have 46 hands on. In mostly it's going to be like filled with pre-flop. So far it's pre-flop. I mean, even 3-bet, this is like overall, not pre-flop. It's only like, I mean, he's got opportunities. He's bet from his big blind 1 out of 5 times. Does that mean his actual, like, you know, he only bets 1/5 of time? That would be actually pretty good. That'd be like 20%, right? C bet 1 out of 2, 46 hands. So you can see that even if you look at like his like turn and river data, it's gonna be much less rigorous, and it's gonna have some skew in it, as does this data. I mean, I spoke about the person with the 9 deuce offsuit 3-bet. There's a skew even though I have 18k hands with him. It's just because by trial and error I just saw that hand, and still his stats on the flop outweigh the number on the turn and the river. Turn and the river being where you will have more in the pot, and your EVs will be higher or lower depending on the actions you take. Now, why does like raising something change your EV? It's because of perceived, you know, you're just, you know, why do you 3-bet with aces? It's because you're fundamentally saying that you have a stronger hand. So principally speaking, if someone cold calls your 3-bet, he's supposed to have a weaker range, and that we can all agree on, right? It's logical. So when you want to exploit, say on the flop versus a bet, like there's already less chips, some of it were already yours. What are you exploiting for then? 30 chips in the pot of 70 at max, like if you take away his entire EV basically. So this, and then on the turn and river things become more convoluted, right? It's more of logic and your combos and how they interact. Yes, there are, in fact, big blind versus, but if you look at cutoff versus big blind, a cutoff has usually a high percentage of checks because they're the 2 widest ranges that are not in the blinds. So in position definitely has some advantage, and again I will talk about that advantage, so that will clear up all your 3-betting, c-betting, out of position, in position, everything, by just knowing what position really means. Now take it to the turn and river when actually you have a deeper pot, more EV on the line, and you have less data. You will maladjust to players. Your adjustments won't be correct because they're born out of skew in the data. They're born out of this, like, you know, not studying GTO, not even population tendencies. You can't do this population tendency unless you actually do some experiment, like control test. For example, you can do a control on swapping a cutoff range with the button range and the button range with the cutoff range, and you'll see that the cutoff's minimal defense frequency is risen if he checks and button bets. Even if you bet 30%, it's very hard for cutoff to reach. And yes, when you swap the ranges, that MDF might be a little bit lower, but generally it's like around 30%. And versus a 30% bet, you're supposed to be calling with like more than 75% of your range, right? So it's hard for out of position to clear his MDF. In position when has showdown hands, he can just, you know, show down cheaply. So in some essence, I don't know why I was talking about that, but and especially like, so if you have a hand, it goes the other way around too. If you have out of position, betting big into the in position player, it's gonna get called too often on this board. Although I'm fine with him calling with that combo. It's just because of the board texture. So I think we can just take a loss there without having to bet. But again, like I said, passive pot's different though. Like this, we're not bluffing for our stack. So anyways, you have certain predetermined equity just because of math. And again, we talked about ranges. There's plenty of combos of any two cards, so that we don't have to like massively expand someone's range. Hold up. Sorry. And yeah, so the exploit, the chips that you can actually gain from this faulty notion of like what exploitative poker is, basically like, I call it like trying to table captain poker. Is faulty in the sense that, like here for example, in a like calling stationy game, like this is my adjustment. I'm not gonna ISO to 4x, I'm gonna ISO to 5x. I'm gonna see a bit bigger than I usually would, and this is actually not that big, but he's gonna like he's gonna see the king and he's gonna auto fold, man. It's auto profit. Why? It's somewhat exploitative, but just I know the fact that I have position, like something he will intrinsically know. So like when out of position, say like in big blind versus button, say big blind starts potting into you, knowing that position has this power of like re-raising, you should also again like give you should play poker honestly in some sense. And I'm gonna bump out of this cash table, bump out of this cash table. It's a break, and I'm just gonna stop anyways. So you should give the out of position some respect as well. You can't just like exploit, and again, exploit has a limit, which is the pot. And most exploit, just for exploit's sake, because of this loaded term of bossing it around, bossing like weak players around, yeah, you want to bring the hammer down on them. However, not with the entire deck, and realize what are you actually exploiting. The number of the EV, the money that you gain from an exploit is a product of what's in the pot. You certainly cannot win more than what the pot is. Poker can be driven towards Nash equilibrium because you're not up against thousands of people. Because yes, the poker tournament is, however, you're up against one person, and the shorter the stacks, the more jam ace jack offsuit 10 big blinds. I mean, exploitive poker player, what are you gonna do differently? How are you gonna make more EV? Are you gonna just assume that calling ranges are tighter? So are you gonna just start from under the gun, your adjustment then should be to jam wider. But mathematically, someone behind you could just have a hand. That's why you're not gonna jam with 4 suited, because that just basically unblocks opponents. But you should be, because you're playing exploiter. You need to find that edge, right? So go find that edge. Well, ace jack offsuit with 10 big blind under the gun jam wins you a double up every 5 times you jam it. And finally, there are certain spots where exploitive poker players kind of leave the money on the table, because they will see, or if they see the game theoretic like solution, they will see something is actually negative EV. What they don't see is that they're posting a big blind plus an ante, and the answer for like defending or three betting that combo at certain given weight is actually say like negative 0.90. Well, you've already posted 1.1 big blinds, so you're actually making money back, and you're making more money than you would certain jams that you make under the gun. It's just all like simply logic, and then you verify that and make sure that you don't do anything irrational, which I think a lot of exploitative poker players do, because I play exploitative poker because I know where I'm deviating, how much I'm deviating. I know that edge passing in this game is like in some soft games is hugely important. If you don't edge pass in these games, why am I able to raise? If there were like exploitative poker was ruling the world, I shouldn't be able to open raise, because everyone knows open raise ranges are wide. So I should be 3-bet up a ton of times. So I should just be limping, but I don't limp. Although limping is starting in some high stakes games because people are being punished for raising. But again, don't do it with the entire deck. Don't do it with this notion of people are acting irrationally. It's just like just words that people write on a post and or like in an article on Upswing, and other people just read it and just take it for whatever, however they rationalize it. That's how they rationalize it. Remember, this is still a game with 52 cards, 13 ranks, 4 colors. Those are your resources, and you need to appreciate that more than any kind of label on a strategy. Now, I might say something that I did this is GTO, this is exploitative. Again, that's just imperfection in English language. And again, when you already have a certain amount of EV and you claim to like maximize it by playing a certain strategy, holy damn, man, like don't even have that much to exploit. Kill off Killy.